Hello and welcome to Norwood News. Today is Friday, May 22nd, and I'm your host, Krista McDonald. This past Monday, Governor Baker announced that the state of Massachusetts plans to start Phase 1 of reopening the state. For more information, let's go over to Norwood's Board of Health Director, Sigal Reese.
The governor has issued a four-phased approach to the reopening of Massachusetts. In Phase 1, we saw the opening of construction, manufacturing, and places of worship with sector-specific guidelines that need to be followed to ensure it is done in a safe manner. We will continue a data-driven approach as we move through the next phases, and if we continue to see favorable indicators, we will move on to Phase 2, 3, and 4. It is now more important than ever that everybody listen to the guidance and ensure to follow it. We want to make sure if you can work from home, you do continue to do that. We want to make sure everybody's washing their hands frequently, cleaning high-touch surfaces, wearing face coverings when you do leave your home, and maintaining social distancing of a 6-foot separation. And of course, stay home if you're sick. By taking these measures, we will be able to reopen Massachusetts.
Charlotte Walsh wears many hats in town, owner of Charles River Running, president of Friends of Norwood Center, and coordinator of the Norwood Farmers Market. Following the state reopening guidelines released by the governor this week, Charlotte updates us on the farmers market and the procedures for stores and restaurants to start opening again.
I was really impressed with how the state was coming down with guidelines about how to make this absolutely a safe event. But what I quickly realized is that the Friends of Norwood Center, which, as you know, is an all-volunteer organization run by a board, we have some volunteers, and we rely on the donations from other businesses in town and banks and charitable organizations. We did not have the money that we needed or the resources or the people that we would need to run a safe market. We had some requests from restaurants wanting to be, of course, they want to be proactive and they want to open safely as soon as they can, operating within the guidelines and the boundaries and the new rules. And so not sure about what those are yet. We set up a meeting between Sigal and the restaurant owners and operators. So if they're listening right now, there's a Zoom meeting set up. It's on the calendar, and we'll be getting in touch with all the restaurants so that they can log in and really ask the questions directly to the health department. And there are some resources out there. I think there's the governor has one. It's called Reopen, as a website that has a lot of different things, specifically a checklist that all businesses are going to be required to kind of go through before they can open up. But what we want to do is, from Friends of Norwood Center, is make that information more readily available. We also want to have some more open town forums with the town officials for the business owners so that they can have a direct line and an opportunity to have some face-to-face through Zoom contact with the town officials, just knowing exactly how they can best be ready to open, prepare to open. People are going to want to know where they can get signage. Business owners are going to want to know where they can get hand sanitizers, masks, gloves, and things like that. So we are setting up some meetings with the town and the business owners. Again, we'll be putting that out on social media. We'll be communicating by email, just so that the merchants can be prepared for the next phases coming up.
Norwood's own Moderna Therapeutics, a leader in the creation of the COVID vaccine, announced on Monday that Phase 1 of testing has been very positive. In a press release, the messenger RNA, or mRNA technology company stated, quote, "These interim Phase 1 data, while early, demonstrate that vaccination with mRNA 1273 elicits an immune response of the magnitude caused by natural infection, starting with a dose as low as 25 microgram," said Tal Zaks, Chief Medical Officer at Moderna. Quote, "When combined with the success in preventing viral replication in the lungs of a preclinical challenge model at a dose that elicited similar levels of neutralizing antibodies, these data substantiate our belief that mRNA 1273 has potential to prevent COVID-19 disease and advance our ability to select a dose for pivotal trials." With today's positive interim Phase 1 data and the positive data in the mouse challenge model, the Moderna team continues to focus on moving as fast and as safely as possible to start our pivotal Phase 3 study in July, and if successful, file a BLA. said Stefan Bancel, Chief Executive Officer at Moderna. Quote, "We are investing to scale up manufacturing so we can maximize the number of doses we can produce to help protect as many people as we can from SARS-CoV-2 or COVID-19. That all sounds very encouraging. We will be right back after this break for some more town news.
Hi, this is Courtney Rao-Rogers from the League of Women Voters Norwood with an exciting announcement about Candidates Night for our municipal election. The League has paired up with Norwood Community Media to bring you a virtual Candidates Night. Please tune in on Thursday, May 28th at 7 p.m. We will be broadcasting a live forum with the candidates for Board of Selectmen. They will be safely at home, just like you, answering questions from the League and from residents. If you wish to submit a question for the candidates, please email the League by Tuesday, May 26th to give us time to review the questions and make them available to NCM and our moderator. Our email is lwvnorwoodma@gmail.com. We are excited to bring this new version of an old favorite to you, and we hope you tune in. Thank you, and remember, voting matters.
Welcome back. The Norwood High School Athletic Hall of Fame Committee has been hard at work constructing their class of 2020, and the inductees are official. Brian Dunn sat down with Hall of Fame Committee President Brian McDonough for the exclusive announcement of the Hall of Fame induction class of 2020.
Thanks, Kristen. Hello, everybody, and I'm here with the Norwood High Sports Hall of Fame President Brian McDonough. And Brian, it's official. We have our class of 2020 induction class, so without further ado, I'll let you make the formal announcement.
Well, thank you, Brian. Yes. Starting off with Coach Sharon Stye, who had over 30 years here teaching and coaching at Norwood High and coached basketball, softball, but her real claim to fame would be field hockey. And so we're honored to have Sharon Stye into this class. Then from the class of 1974, Chuck Hopkins, first state champ wrestler, and thrilled to make him be part of that. From the class of 1978, John Belerna, outstanding hockey player, but again, probably sport he was most recognized for was baseball, where he was a Globe and Herald All-Scholastic. Next, from the class of 1995, Mike Pedroli. Unfortunately, Mike passed away and is being inducted posthumously. Mike was an outstanding baseball player, football player, Bay State Conference MVP, so also being recognized at Bentley College for his contribution there, where they retired his number. In the class of 1997, joining her coach would be Patty Robinson, field hockey. Outstanding field hockey player, also played basketball and softball, went on to play her career at UMass. Then Jackie Demlin from the class of 2000. Jackie was an outstanding softball player, two-time Globe All-Scholastic and Herald All-Scholastic, records in strikeout, also a member of the Hall of Fame at Wheaton College. And then finally from the class of 2006, Mike Young. He's played basketball and track, but is really known for football. Just a tremendous football player. I had the good fortune to watch Mike play, and Globe All-Scholastic, Herald All-Scholastic, Bay State League Conference MVP. So pretty special group, and honored to have them be part of the 2020 Norwood High Athletic Hall of Fame.
And like you said, special group, Brian, and congratulations to the new induction class of 2020. And just a reminder to everybody, if you want to watch the full breakdown of the Hall of Fame class induction of 2020, Brian and I sat a little more and got to know a few of the inductees and about the Hall of Fame process in general. So you can watch that full show now airing on our channels and on demand. But for now, we'll say bye to Brian and thank you. And again, congratulations to the class of 2020. Back to you, Kristen.
Thanks, Brian, and congratulations to the class of 2020. The Norwood Scholarship Foundation made history this week. Due to the current situation, they were not able to hold their annual scholarship awards night at the Elks. However, for the first time ever, the awards night was hosted by George Yusevich and Tim McDonough live from the NCM studio. And the students learned what scholarships they won live as it happened. It was a unique yet humbling experience for both hosts involved.
I think it was a great experience, not only for Tim and for me, but I think a new way of delivering the wonderful word of the Norwood Scholarship Foundation. And forever impressed with the youth of today, as I said at the beginning of the conclusion of the program, actually, when I said the future is in good hands with these young men and women that we gave awards to tonight. They're just doing amazing things in the community, in their school, in their church and synagogues. It's unbelievable. And one thing I really liked this year, that we gave a lot of publicity to the donors, who are our lifeblood in the Norwood Scholarship Foundation, and we gave suitable recognition to our recipients when we put their name on the scroll. And I think it went well for the first time we did this, and hopefully we'll be back to the Elks next year. But for this year, with everything that we had going on, it worked out well. And I thank NCMTV for their help in preparing us for this night.
It's very important that we get to acknowledge the recipients as well as the donors. And when George and I had talked about this a couple of months ago, we knew we weren't going to be able to have our usual celebration at the Elks, so we came up with the idea. So let's honor these students and these recipients and the donors. And this was just a great way that we could do it. We were social distancing, kind of honored to be the first live, so-to-call broadcast from NCM Studios. So just want to thank all the donors. I want to congratulate all the recipients, congratulate all the Norwood High School graduates of 2020. You have a lot to be proud of, and we're proud that we could be a little part of this anyways. So thank you very much.
Thank you to George and Tim and the entire Scholarship Foundation for finding a way to continue such a great event for our scholars. Stay tuned after this break for some school and government news.
Hi, I'm Officer John Rooney with the Norwood Police Department. I've been a member of the department since 2015. And today's question is, do you guys have ticket quotas? Well, the answer is no, we don't have ticket quotas. In Norwood, we have over 400 miles of roadway, over close to 600 crosswalks, numerous stop signs. And we do patrol those areas on shift. We're expected to do traffic enforcement, but there's no minimum amount of tickets we have to write per shift or per month. So don't worry, the end of the month is not ticket time. What we do is try to inform the public by going to areas where we get the most amount of crashes, citizen complaints, and violations that cause crashes. So no, there are no ticket quotas. Our goal is just keep everyone safe and informed. Last year we wrote over 4,500 citations. Keep that in mind, but we're doing it for your safety. Again, I'm Officer John Rooney. Thanks for watching.
Welcome back. Monday morning, the Board of Health met to discuss and give updates on the town's response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Sigal Reese, Director of the Health Department, began by updating the board on the current cases and contact tracing activity. Stacy Lane, Assistant Director of the Health Department, explained the different types of testing and how it is done. Following that, Sigal Reese updated the board on the new phased openings that were proposed by the governor.
So the next big phase is starting today. The governor actually speaking now about the reopening. So we've received a little information from the state about how that will be enforced. We will again be the primary enforcement agency, but we will be working with the State Department of Labor Standards. And actually, Michael Flanagan is in charge of that. And I don't know if anybody remembers his name, but he used to work at Norwood Hospital as their facilities and emergency preparedness director. So he's great to see a familiar face there. And can reach out if we have questions. But so it'll be a joint effort between the Department of Labor Standards and local boards of health to enforce sort of the reopening guidelines and orders. Information was leaked out to the press, so I think we all got a little taste of it, what's going to happen, but we're looking at construction sites and manufacturing allowed to open, but they do have very restrictive guidelines and protocols that they have to follow to maintain social distancing, sanitation, hygiene requirements for employees. So all that will be enforced by the local health department in conjunction with the Department of Labor Standards. So they really want us working together and notifying each other as we get complaints. And we saw a little bit of that with the earlier orders from the governor, that we were working with them, and they would send us letters to administer locally, things like that. So I'm hoping that goes smoothly.
Following the updates, the board discussed future events, including the Fall Flu Clinic and Fall Hazardous Waste Day. The next Board of Health meeting will be June 22nd. After just meeting on Thursday, May 14th, the Finance Commission held a meeting on Monday to reconsider the FY 2021 budget, which they had passed at the previous meeting. Commission members felt that the budget approved prior to Monday was a pre-COVID-19 budget, and changes would need to be made to adapt to the fiscal changes this pandemic may bring. The next Finance Commission meeting will be Tuesday at 4 o'clock. The Selectmen had a busy agenda for their Tuesday night meeting. The board went right into new business, which included some reserve fund transfers from the Fire and Police Department, as well as a PEG grant report from Verizon. Paul Halkiotis and Sigal Reese were on the call as collaborators of a proposed project for the town to create an outdoor restaurant seating option to help businesses comply with social distancing laws when the state begins its phase allowing restaurants to provide seating again.
2 weeks ago, the general manager brought together a group of department heads and tasked me with taking a look at our outdoor dining regulations in anticipation of what we now know will be phase 2 or 3 of an opening of our local restaurants. And we anticipate that once those restaurants can open, because of social distancing requirements, that not every seat in the restaurant can be occupied going forward.
Selectman Plasko addressed his concerns of the current proposal, especially with parking.
And I'm concerned that while we think we're helping the restaurants by increasing the seating, that we're taking away the parking they will need for those customers and the parking for everybody else who's a tenant downtown and trying to operate. And, we don't have enough parking now on a good day. And I know we say while we're reopening business, there is not that much business, but we're doing things to encourage business. So they're going to need parking. And I think this becomes too drastic, too many spaces.
After some back and forth, the decision was made to come back to this discussion after a sit-down to try and find an agreeable solution. At the end of the meeting, the board formally announced the approval of Town Manager Tony Mazzucco's contract going forward. Congratulations, Tony, and thank you for all you do for the town in Norwood. Also Tuesday night, the Zoning Board of Appeals met and began their meeting with a continued public hearing from their previous meeting. The applicant at 16 High Street was filing to make alterations to their existing 2-family dwelling. After a brief discussion, the board approved the variance. In regular business, the board discussed a request for modification at 24 Brook Street, who is applying to add a bathroom to their garage, which would require a new address for the property. The board was strongly against this proposal and voted to deny the modification. The final business of the night was a request for relief and action at 1369 Boston Providence Turnpike. After some discussion, a motion was made.
Have anything else to add?
Yeah, as I understand what's going on, and I think more or less repeating what Mr. Murphy just said, I would agree and even move if necessary to get it going, that the board authorize town council to review and sign the settlement agreement. And well, there are two things: to review and sign the settlement agreement, and to also authorize town council to sign and file the agreement for judgment. I think we should vote to allow council to do both of those things.
Okay, why don't we do that? So we'll just do a quick straw poll. Obviously, Mr. Murphy, Mr. O'Reilly are yes. Mr. Mulvihill just indicated he's a yes. And Jack has indicated he's a yes. I'll also be a yes. So we'll give a 5-0 vote to authorize Attorney DeLuca to sign off on it on our behalf when it comes back from the land court.
No, he's signing off on it to file it with the land court.
Right.
I'm sorry, excuse me, to file it from the land. I'm sorry, excuse me. To file it with the land court. So yes, we have no problem with that, and we're in agreement with that, David. So
the Conservation Commission held a special meeting last Thursday night. Their 7:30 appointment was a request for modification order of conditions for United Consultants Incorporated. The meeting wrapped up with the Conservation Agents Report. The Conservation will meet again in the coming weeks. To watch complete government coverage, tune into the NCM Government channel or watch it on demand at norwoodcommunitymedia.org. Now we will toss it over to Brian Dunn with sports.
Hello everyone and welcome into the sports update for this week. Brian Dunn here. My only update for this week is that we are continuing with our college athlete series. I caught up with the Regents Track and Field's Kevin Samacula and Bentley Club Ice Hockey's Allie Martin to get their reactions on continuing their athletic careers.
So I had got a reference from my sister who knows the assistant coach, and I filled out their recruitment like their profile when you're registered like as an athlete, their questionnaire. Sorry, and so I got in contact with the assistant coach. I had sent them in some footage, and I also sent some of my scores and like my times from athletic.net, and they had liked it, but unfortunately due to the pandemic I wasn't able to like get a like an official like visit with them, but I'm really excited to work with them in the fall, and yeah, soon I should be training with them over the summer using their workouts and everything.
Well, I've always like played hockey for as long as I can remember. So I knew like once the season ended this year that I didn't want to like stop then. So it was probably like a really important like part of my college decision because I wanted to have the opportunity to play. I didn't want to go to a school where like I wouldn't have the opportunity. So I was deciding between Bentley and Quinnipiac for about a month. When I decided those are my top two. And I think in the back of my head, I always knew that I wanted to go to Bentley just because it was closer to home and it had hockey, and like I had been to the campus, I hadn't been to Quinnipiac, so I was a little more like familiar with it in that way. But I thought about it a lot, and then I was thinking about hockey too, and I was like, I don't think I can give it up just yet. So that was when I was like, yeah, Bentley is definitely the one.
Congratulations to you both. And that is all for me this week. For the latest updates on everything Norwood sports, follow us on social media and watch Norwood News.
Thanks, Brian. Before the COVID-19 pandemic, the Norwood Historical Society was working on a grant to make the day house more accessible. Cashman Prince, president of the Historical Society, talked with Megan Corbett.
Thanks, Kristen. I'm here with Cashman Prince, president of the Norwood Historical Society. He has some exciting news about a new grant that the Historical Society has been working on to make the day house more accessible. So Cashman, can you just give us some more information about this?
Sure. Thank you so much for the opportunity to talk to everyone about this. So before the pandemic started, the Historical Society had already been having conversations about how we could make the day house more accessible. Right now, you go up a couple steps to get into the door. There are thresholds between the rooms. So it's a challenge for our older members of the community who are not as active or as mobile. It's impossible if you're in a wheelchair. So we worked very closely with a local architecture firm, and they specialize in accessibility for older and historic homes called KMA Architects. And we came up with a plan where we could modify a part of the front porch. Right now, it's underutilized space. We don't do anything with it. Have a ramp that would make it accessible for people to get into the house. And then the real advantage of the sort of scale of the day house, we have wide doorways already. We have big open spaces. So once you get in the house, if you're in a wheelchair, all we have to do are remove a couple wooden thresholds between a couple rooms, and suddenly the ground floor is accessible. I really like the way the architect at KMA talked about this. We can never make the full house accessible. We have individual rooms that are on 3 different levels, but we can do the ground floor, and that'll have to make do until the day we all have our little jet packs and we can fly through the house. But our goal is, if we make the ground floor accessible, that's where most of our events are. That's where we do a lot of the exhibits. So that way we can have more of the community come and join us. So anyway, we started all of this well before this pandemic. We applied for a grant through the Mass Cultural Council, and they work in partnership with the Mass Development Agency. And we just learned a few days ago that they have selected the Norwood Historical Society to receive this grant. So we're very excited to have this cultural facilities grant from the Mass Cultural Council coming our way.
That's great. Well, Cashman, I really appreciate you updating the community on this. Sounds like an exciting project. We'll be checking in over the time, updating the community, seeing how we can help. And I appreciate you updating us, and good luck with everything.
Thank you so very much.
All right. And Kristen, back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Megan. NCM will be following the Day House through this process and will keep the viewers up to date with their progress. Spring has sprung in Norwood, finally. The warmer weather is here, and with that comes some beautiful flowers. But these flowers have been blooming in Norwood for decades thanks to a small business that loves the town of Norwood.
How you doing? My name's John from Rojo Company in Norwood. Just out here planting flowers for the town of Norwood. A tradition my father started back in the late 80s, early 90s with John Carroll. Glad to do it. The town's been so good to us that anything we can do to help the town and make the town more beautiful, we'd love to do it.
In my 49 years plus of community service, one thing I can stipulate to all of you is that there is a lot of good people. By that I mean people that really truly care about the town of Norwood. And in that vein, John Shelby and Rojo Car Wash is those people. They donate flowers to the town of Norwood for beautification purposes around the town. And it's no cost to the town. The town doesn't solicit for them. It's just good people trying to do good things for the community.
We hit about 20-something sites, anywhere from town hall to a lot of the rotaries and the public areas you see. Many of the sites you probably don't even know about, but there's sites anywhere from South Norwood to Norwood to the rotary right here, right in Norwood. So as long as it's in Norwood, we'll plant it. We're glad to do it. We're so happy to be in this town, work in this town, and we've been fortunate. The town's been good to us, so anytime we can give back, we'll jump on the opportunity.
Earlier this week, the Norwood Fire Department spent time cleaning and planting flowers around the memorial at Highland Cemetery. They shared this in a post that read, quote, "The men and women of Group 1 were up at the Norwood Firefighters Memorial, affectionately nicknamed Big Jake, this morning at Highland Cemetery. As is tradition, firefighters clean up the memorial and plant new flowers every spring. Thanks to retired Captain George Geary for picking up supplies. With Memorial Day fast approaching, it is important for present members to never forget the sacrifices of those who have gone before us and helped pave the way for what modern firefighting is today." Well, that's all for Norwood News. To stay up to date with Norwood Community Media, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. As always, thank you so much for watching. Have a great weekend.